Thank you so much, everyone. And I think now we will formally begin the Youth Forum. Good afternoon and good evening to you all, and welcome everyone to the Regional Youth Forum held by UN Office for Disarmament Affairs, UNODA, to mark the World Youth Skills Day, which is today, July 15. Please note that today's event includes 3 different regional forums. Start at Asia Pacific session, which is happening now, and were followed by African and Europe session and American session. Please make sure you attend the right regional forum you selected during the registration. And I will be your moderator for the Asia Pacific session, and I'm very delighted to welcome you all to the discussion on Asia Pacific regional priorities and also the youth solutions in disarmament. And my name is Boyi. I worked as a junior project advisor for youth and disarmament with UN RCPD, UN Regional Center for Peace and Disarmament in Asia and the Pacific. I think some of you already know me from the disarmament, and it's always a good thing to see some old friends here. And for those who don't know me, no worries. We will be familiar with each other very soon because networking is also one of the priorities for today. And our Asia Pacific session will be facilitated in English only. So to make our discussion as interactive as possible, please try to open your camera, but also please keep your microphone off unless you are speaking. So many thanks to the government of Germany. Today we have this opportunity for youth networking and youth exchange with a specific regional focus. And I'm very excited about this because I think we, the young people gathering here, can really do something, can really generate some new thinking to achieve sustainable peace and security, to achieve disarmament. I know this seems like a quite big goal, but I do have confidence to have new thinking from you in such a short time, in 2 hours. Why? Because I think we young people, we are brave, we are smart, and we are full of innovation. And today we provide this opportunity for you to have your own thoughts. We provide opportunity for you to speak. And this is an event organized by youth and led by youth. Maybe some people are saying that I don't have a disarmament background. I don't know what those kind of disarmament international treaties. Then how can I come out with my thoughts or my thinking? And I will say this, of course, if you know this can give you a lot of inspirations if you know them, but those things cannot give you the thoughts, the new ideas you are looking for, or you are looking for. I will say it is a passion for world peace, the passion for disarmament in your heart is the thing that really helps you to come out with your thoughts, with your ideas. So if you don't have a disarmament background, please don't worry. And you don't need a strong background to contribute to today's youth forum. And nowadays, developmentized disarmament is very popular in the disarmament cycle, and UNODA, Office for Disarmament Affairs, is really trying to link disarmament with a lot of different SDGs. So if your work or study is relevant to different SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, then congratulations. You are the one who can come up with new solutions, with new ideas, which we are desperately needed today. By now, if your brain or your mind is a blank page, trust me, it's normal. And I'm here together with other UN Youth Champions to help you. I have asked Youth Champions to prepare a problem-driven presentations to support you and inspire you. So now, allow me to briefly outline our plan for today. We'll begin with a live poll on Mentimeter for you to share your initial thoughts on disarmament relates to your region, and then we will hear remarks from distinguished speakers and presentations from UN Youth Champions for Disarmament on their project proposals that aims to inspire action for disarmament. The youth champions will also share the thoughts about regional disarmament priorities and how they link disarmament with other topics. And after that, interactive and engaging breakout group discussions will be facilitated with the UN youth champions, where you will be able to explore those regional perspectives in more detailed way. A note to file will be drafted by the facilitators from the discussions. The insights collected will then be present by the group during the study visit to UN headquarters in October on the UN General Assembly First Committee deliberations. So now I will invite you all to participate in a Mentimeter quiz. So please, I will now try to share my screen so you can see it. Okay. Can everyone try to scan the QR code here? Or you can open the website and enter the code, which is PowerPoint. Okay, during this time, if you didn't got time to scan the QR code, you can always open the website and enter the code, which is always on the PowerPoint. So first question for you guys is where you are joining from. Okay, I saw Nepal. I'm also in Nepal, Laos, Thailand, Turkey, Canada. Okay, so this is out of origin. Bangladesh, Turkey, Malaysia. Okay, so Australia. Okay, so we really have a very diverse USA participants join from us all around the world. China. Okay. Thank you all for taking this question, and let's move on to next question. For you is, what is your gender? Because gender equality is one of the main goals that UNODA is implementing. So I do think asking this question is very important. Very good. I think, okay. Oh my God, we have so many female participants here today. I think it's a very good thing. And because we need female women participation in disarmament area. And I think it's a very good trend, at least at the Asia Pacific session. Okay, let's move to another question. Is what the word comes to your mind when you think about disarmament? Peace, weapons, gun, peace building. Okay, CTBT, NPT, a lot of acronyms about the treaty. Okay. Freedom. Okay, good word. Danger. Okay, I really feel inspired by looking at those answers. Okay, thank you so much. And let's move to next question is, how relevant is disarmament to your region? Not relevant, somewhat relevant, or highest relevance. Okay. Highly relevant, highest relevance, somewhat. Okay, I didn't say anyone. Okay, there is one choose not relevant. But maybe it's not relevant, or maybe you haven't found the thing that's related to disarmament. Okay, but I think overall it's a very good, interesting result to see. Okay, and let's move on. How aware is your community of disarmament issues? I do think this question is very important because today we have a specific regional youth forum. So we here today are discussing the disarmament priorities in region or in your local communities. So I think your awareness, your community's awareness about disarmament is really a big topic that we need to discuss today. Okay, the highest aware about specific issues, somewhat aware, not aware, highly aware, and active. Okay. Okay, I see most answer is about aware, but about specific issues. I know, for example, in East Asia, nuclear is a specific big issue in that region. Okay, let's move on. And that's the end of our Mentimeter. And I'm so sorry I got some delay about my network. And now let's move on to next section. And thank you everyone for your active engagement as we begin today's event. I hope it's a very nice icebreaker section. And now, with pleasure to introduce a video message by Mrs. Radha Day, Chief of the Regional Disarmament Information and Outreach Branch of UN Office for Disarmament Affairs, to welcome you to our Regional Youth Forum.
UN Youth Champions for Disarmament, youth leaders, distinguished participants, thank you for attending today's Regional Youth Forum, held with the UN Youth Champions for Disarmament on the occasion of the World Youth Skills Day. As part of the year-long training program, the youth champions have embarked on a learning journey, participating in expert-led webinars and self-paced courses to gain a solid foundation of knowledge on issues related to disarmament. Today's event provides an opportunity to support the next stages of the youth champions' work in connecting the global disarmament discourse to regional dynamics by discussing approaches to engage local communities. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has made a major push to engage and empower young people, recognizing their participation as essential for identifying new solutions that will secure the breakthroughs that our world urgently needs. Our Common Agenda policy brief on meaningful youth engagement in policy and decision-making processes reiterates the importance of youth as crucial actors in strengthening peace and security, and of the need to more accurately present youth as positive and constructive social agents. This is so true. Youth mainstreaming is important as young people are the drivers of sustaining peace, economic development, and technological innovation. We remain committed to working with and for young people to create effective youth-led and youth-inclusive solutions. I sincerely believe that you, as critical thinkers, change makers, and innovators, can help us prioritize what matters most to the people and the planet. I have 3 points that I would like to share with the young participants here today, and that perhaps are inspired by my own journey. First, be brave. Make your point and don't choose to remain silent for fear of saying something wrong or anodyne. On the contrary, what you think may be wrong or may be the exact idea needed to make a difference and inspire change across different domains. Today's events provide a safe space for frank and thought-provoking exchange, utilizing peer-to-peer learning to ensure your voice is heard. Second, focus on the regional dynamics during your conversations. The reason why we're having a forum with 3 different regional meetings is to hear your perspectives on what is happening on the ground, at the regional level, at the country level, and at the local community level. I believe that every one of you, each and every one of you here, can contribute with answers to the disarmament priority issues in your community, in your country, and in your region. You're best placed to know what is needed. Third, work together as a team to develop solutions. Teamwork is essential to amplify your ideas with broader audiences and to ensure comprehensive and inclusive solutions that leave no one behind. We can all learn from one another. So please remember that you are part of a team. As a team, show respect and understanding for each other's perspectives, be clear on roles and expectations for each other, and finally, be active and interactive in the discussion. As you begin your discussions, please keep in the back of your mind the message of this year's World Youth Skills Day, which aims to equip young people with the necessary skills for fostering a culture of peace and nurturing responsible global citizens. Please unleash your innovative ideas. I wish this youth forum a success. Thank you. UN Youth Champions for Disarmament, youth leaders, distinguished
Thank you, everyone. And I don't know how you feel, but I really feel very inspired by the remarks by Radha, especially her 3 points, which I think is very useful for our follow-up presentations, also for our follow-up discussions. And now it's my pleasure to welcome the Deputy Director of UNRCPD, United Nations Regional Center for Peace and Disarmament, Mr. Aaron Junhong Yu, to deliver a welcoming remark from the Regional Center. Aaron, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Boy. And ladies and gentlemen, esteemed youth champions, distinguished participants. I'm not to be too formal today, but still it is a great pleasure for me to be able to welcome all of you on behalf of the UN Regional Center for Peace and Disarmament in Asia and the Pacific, UNRCPD, which is the Asia Pacific Regional Office for the UN Office for Disarmament Affairs. So today marks an important milestone in all of our collective journey towards a safer and more secure world for all, free from the threat of weapons of mass destruction and also armed conflict. And on behalf of UNRCPD, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to our youth champions for disarmament, Sangin, Nojus, Mona Lisa, Zamil, and Charlotte, who you will hear from a little bit later, because their dedication and passion for promoting peace and security have truly been inspiring for all of us here at the regional office. And I hope that today's forum could serve as a great opportunity for you to share your views and passion with all the participants. I also sincerely hope that your participation in the various trainings have equipped you with valuable knowledge and skills that you're now ready to share, and creating a powerful multiplier effect that will resonate far and wide. Today's forum is just more than a meeting. It is a platform for dialogue, collaboration, and action. And as we gather here today, we're united by a common purpose: to address the pressing disarmament challenges facing our region and to identify practical solutions that can be implemented by young people. Your perspectives, insights, and experiences are crucial in shaping the future of disarmament efforts, especially in the Asia-Pacific region. The Asia-Pacific region is home to a vast array of cultures, histories, and geopolitical landscapes. While this diversity is a source of strength, it also represents a unique challenge in the realm of disarmament. From nuclear non-proliferation to proliferation of small arms and light weapons, our region faces a complex array of issues that require innovative and collaborative approaches. It is through forums like this that we can begin to unravel these complexities and work towards a more sustainable solution. As we did our Mentimeter today, and I've seen how all of you are coming from all over the world, from the region and outside the region, you will also know when you begin the exchange of your ideas and your views, how diverse the issues are that we face in the same region. Although we are all in Asia and the Pacific, Northeast Asia and Central Asia may have very different priorities that you feel in your daily lives that are relevant to the issues of disarmament. And that is why we're hoping that today's forum, you'll be able to exchange these views, shed some light on what your neighboring region thinks are important in their region, and how it differs from what in my region and in my community. One of the key outcomes of this forum will be identification of regional disarmament priorities and the development of concrete actions that young people can take to address these priorities. I encourage all of you to approach this task with creativity, determination, and an unwavering commitment to peace. The ideas and initiatives that emerge from this forum have the potential to inspire and mobilize young people across the region, creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond these virtual walls. And you've heard from Boy that all of your thoughts today that you present and you also share with the youth champions for disarmament, they will bring these ideas to New York, to where all the older diplomats will be discussing about peace and disarmament issues, so that your views can be presented and be known to all the diplomats that will be gathering in New York at the General Assembly. And as you embark on this journey of discussion and discovery, please remember that you're not alone. The United Nations and its partners stand with you, ready to support your efforts and amplify your voices at the global stage. That's why we're here. That is our job. Your passion, your energy, and commitment are the driving forces behind our shared vision of a world free from the threat of armed violence and conflict. In closing, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your active participation to come and your dedication in shown that from your participation in this forum. Your engagement in this forum is a testament to the power of young people in shaping a better future, and together we can make a difference. And together we can achieve disarmament. Together we can build a more peaceful and secure Asia-Pacific region for all. Thank you so much, and I wish you a productive and inspiring forum.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for your really inspiring speech. And I think you really bring us all to a more like regional focused contest. And thank you again. And we are so happy to have you here. And now let's move to the next section, constructing meaningful youth projects, building on experience. And on this section, we invited 3 youth champions for disarmament to share the projects and hope will inspire you to build your own projects as well. So for those who are unfamiliar with the UN Youth Champions training program, I will provide you a brief introduction. UN Youth Champions for Disarmament program is an innovative learning program aimed at empowering 15 young people to work for disarmament in their communities. So over 1,000 talented applicants from 128 countries around the world, only 15 exceptional young leaders were chosen as champions for disarmament. And the group will also participate in a study trip to New York in October to share the perspectives on the UN General Assembly First Committee deliberations. And 4 of the UN Youth Champions has already been to the New York to share the insights to the program of action on small arms-led weapons. And remaining will deliver the youth thoughts at the General Assembly First Committee. So this is a brief background about the UN Youth Champions who is doing the presentation today. And without further delay, I will now first invite our first youth speaker, Mr. Narulo will speak about his project and combined with his media background. Narulo, please, the floor is yours.
Hello, dear participants, dear Boy, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nurullah Rasulov. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. And I am honored to introduce you the Voices for Peace, a project under the 2024 UN Youth Champions for Disarmament Training Program. This initiative aims to amplify the voices of young people from Central Asia and beyond, engaging diverse stakeholders to promote disarmament peace building. Voices for Peace was born out of the belief and the youth have a crucial role in shaping a peaceful world. Through the powerful medium of storytelling, we aim to explore the intersection of disarmament, youth empowerment, and peace building. Our project captures the thoughts, experiences, and aspirations of young people, providing a platform for their voices to be heard on global stage. And what are the objectives and goals for this program? Our primary goal is to raise awareness and inspire action on disarmament. By interacting with individuals from various nationalities, cultures, and religions, we aim to illuminate the multifaceted nature of disarmament and its significance in promoting global peace and security. Through compelling human stories, we seek to foster dialogue, understanding, and mobilize collective efforts towards a world free from a threat of weapons and armed conflict. What is our target and engagement? Our target audience, including young activists, especially like you and me and we, students, local communities, and broader audiences, both familiar in new disarmament issues. We strive to deepen the understanding of seasoned activities while prioritizing awareness raising and education for those with limited prior knowledge. By engaging this group, we aim to build a more informed and proactive generation committed to peace building. The journey of Voices for Peace begins with preparation in May 2024, where we conduct research, plan our activities, and secure necessary resources. And from June to October 2024, we will implement our project by conducting interviews, producing multimedia content, and engaging with our target audiences. While our focus is on Central Asia, particularly countries like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, we aim for a global reach. Through online platforms and international partnerships, we will engage audiences worldwide, fostering global dialogue and solidarity on disarmament issues. The success of our project relies on meticulous planning and robust partnerships. We will coordinate travel, secure media equipment, and promote our project through social media and virtual platforms. Collaborating with organizations in Uzbekistan and in the world, such as UN, UNODA, European Union, and various NGOs, we will leverage their expertise, resources, and networks to amplify our message and engage local communities effectively. In conclusion, my project is more than a project. It's a movement to empower youth, raise awareness, and inspire action towards a peaceful world. By amplifying the voices of young people like you and us and we aim to foster empathy, understanding, and solidarity, catalyzing policy change and advocacy in disarmament and international security. Thank you for your attention and support, and I hope together we can continue my project and we can build a world where peace prevails and the voices of peace resonate globally.
Thank you so much, Narulo, for your very wonderful speech, and thank you for being able to be here with us. And without further delay, I will move on and invite our next speaker to talk about her project. Our next speaker is Mrs. Charlotte Yang, which has a very, very interesting project to present you. And so, Charlotte, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes for your presentation.
All right, thank you. Let me know if I go over time. Okay, and let me know if y'all can see my screen, by the way.
Yes.
I guess you can see it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so my project is called Seeds of Peace. And to kind of explain this project, we kind of need to start from the beginning. So as I've said in the chat, I'm from the US, and the way that I was taught about nuclear weapons is like pretty different from, I would say, a lot of other places. For one thing, the nuclear weapons are not really a big part of our like curriculum. When I was taught it, I was told that we needed the bomb to end World War II. That was like the main reason why the war ended. So it's a bit of there's not a lot of discussion in particular about the humanitarian effects of the nuclear bomb, what it did in the aftermath. We were given like a statistic of the death count, but a statistic doesn't really compromise and really encompass kind of like the long-term humanitarian effects, the environmental effects, the societal implications of the nuclear bomb. So this project is an attempt to kind of remedy that, and its beginnings kind of start with the visit visit I took to Hiroshima in 2022. When I went to Hiroshima for like the first time in my life at, I think, 19, I was really struck by the visceral cityscape that connected the issue of nuclear weapons to real world consequences. I think before that, nuclear weapons were kind of this abstract idea that I had a really hard time kind of envisioning and really understanding. I went to Hiroshima originally to look at like artistic movements and how they've been able to kind of discuss this issue globally. But coming to the city, I was able to see a lot of the physical scars and manifestations of what happened. And so in this presentation, you see, for example, this picture that I took of the A-bomb dome in Hiroshima, which is close to where the first bomb was actually like where it imploded. And it's like really the first building that like was actually kind of semi-intact after the bombing. And it's really often used now as a symbol in Hiroshima of peace building. And I found that as I went through more of the city, that I actually learned a great deal about the societal and city implications of the bomb that I hadn't really learned about before. I mean, I'd read about it in a textbook, but to see it physically with my eyes was like something totally different. So here are a few other examples of it in the city itself. So this bell, for example, it says "No More Hiroshimas" within this pattern. It's really hard to see in this picture, but that was kind of the point when they built this, because they wanted to make sure that the Americans wouldn't like remove this bell, that they wouldn't like take it away, because it said "No More Hiroshimas" down here. And if you look up here, you see actually damage from like over 80 years ago when the bomb was imploded and like, well, when the bomb exploded, and it ended up like causing huge shock waves that even this temple, I should say, was affected. So the stand for this whole bell thing, like this wooden part, I think it was like it was more than like 5 miles away, I think, but you can still see the inside collapsed. And then even like the cityscape on like this side over here, this was like the nearest hospital that was actually intact, and that was miles away. I was on top of a mountain when my friend pointed this out. So that's just like some examples of like what Hiroshima looked like in the aftermath of the bomb. So how does this relate to my project? Well, basically my project is focused on A-bomb trees. And what are A-bomb trees? A-bomb trees are trees that have survived the atomic bombings of Hiroshima or Nagasaki within a radius of 2 kilometers of the explosion. And there are around 160 trees scattered around 55 locations in Hiroshima, and there are around 50 A-bomb trees in Nagasaki. When I first saw these, I was absolutely struck by what they meant for the community, by what they meant for really like so many people. Because really originally when the bomb was detonated, people weren't really sure what would happen. They thought maybe the land won't be usable for like 80 years or things like that. But to see some trees actually survive the blast, to see like some survival, and for the trees to actually continue to grow, that's always been considered a very powerful symbol of resilience, and really like a very strong symbol really of the communities involved, of the hibakusha themselves, people who have survived nuclear bombs. And I figured, since one huge issue I had personally with learning about nuclear issues was trying to connect this very hard to imagine bomb with like a very visceral, like with like what happened in the earth, what happened in these communities, what better thing can I do than to actually have these trees planted all over the world? So my project is connecting institutions like museums, like gardens around the world to Green Legacy Hiroshima to apply for A-bomb seeds. Green Legacy Hiroshima Initiative is a global volunteer campaign that sends A-bomb seeds to various institutions around the world. And so far for partners, I've worked with Purdue Arboretum, the Kurt Vonnegut Museum, the UN headquarters, and OpenAll, which is like the largest disarmament group, I believe, in Latin America and the Caribbean. And I'm actually looking for partners all over the world, to different institutions that would be interested in actually hosting and like planting and taking care of A-bomb trees in the long run. And well, really, why do I do this? I do it partly because of what I've mentioned before, but also because I think these trees also stand as a very valuable testament to any community, really. I think the point of these trees is to really learn about nuclear issues in a new form for a lot of different people, to see that like, oh yeah, this is now like almost a monument disarmament in my community of an issue that is perhaps across the sea, but is now somewhat relevant to like where I'm from. And I think it would also be a really interesting place, for example, as a place of gathering for people to talk about current social issues, to talk about issues like disarmament, and to also learn more. So that's kind of like my project right now. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Yeah, these are some questions, but I don't know if like, I guess if you guys join my like breakout room, we can talk about them. But yeah, it's nice meeting y'all.
Thank you so much, Charlotte, for your very interesting project. And I feel really inspired by the bomb tree that you have mentioned. And I'm sure this is also a quite very creative thing and new things for the participants here. And thank you for introducing your project. And our next speaker is Sang-geun No, who is from Republic of Korea, who will introduce her project and how she tried to impact at the local communities. Sang-geun, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Boy. And let me know if you can see my screen as well. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like Boy said, I am Korean, but I did live in Singapore for half my life. But back when I still lived in Korea, this was one of the first books I read in school, The Rainbow Fish. If you haven't read it before, I won't give any spoilers. I don't remember a single word from the book, actually, but what I do remember is the moral of the story, which was to be selfless and generous. I was the kid who never wanted to lend anyone my stationery. I didn't like when someone else used the wrong end of my eraser or when they used a millimeter too much of my color pencils. And I thought it'd be safest to keep my things to myself. And this book, The Rainbow Fish, altered my brain chemistry, so to speak. It made me rethink the balance between the joy of keeping my stationery intact and the joy of seeing my friends get happy when I let them borrow a color that they didn't have. And I don't know if reading it changed my life exactly, but I can't say it didn't. This book became a part, however small a part, of my value system. And what does this have to do with disarmament exactly? The point is that everyone has a piece of art that changed their worldview. A book, a movie, a painting, a song. Does anything come to mind? Well, whatever it is, art has the power to make us think again. Right after you see it, it makes you silent and thoughtful. You become a different person. It's okay if that transformation only lasts a couple of minutes, because whenever you come across the same topic again, you'll be reminded of that moment. It'll become a part of you. And that's what makes art such a powerful tool in shifting public opinion. Historically, it has played a significant role in the cause for disarmament, or more broadly, peace. Photojournalism helped turn the American public against war efforts in Vietnam, and Banksy's murals in Ukraine have garnered a lot of international attention on social media. Okay, and that's what brings me to my project, because what I want to achieve through my art as an artist is to bring back the power of trust. Growing up in Korea, I was pretty used to skeptical news coverage of regional summits. There was always this underlying notion that it was us versus other countries, and that the other countries would never come to negotiations in good faith. So trust in the other side was always treated as folly or weakness. But trust is an essential part of the disarmament process. Disarmament is basically countries telling one another, we have this number of weapons, we've cut it down by this much, and we believe you're doing the same thing. And so to make negotiations fruitful, we need trust. And to achieve trust, we need to believe that positive outcomes are possible, and that other countries want those outcomes too. We need to reverse this equation in the sense that we have internalized, that we must be on our guard constantly to be safe, that mistrust is going to bring us safety. And that is going to take a fundamental shift in our value system. It's going to take a whole paradigm shift. We need to alter our brain chemistry, so to speak. And that's the link between The Rainbow Fish and disarmament. That's what I want to achieve through my project, which is an illustrated, wordless book. And there's only so much detail I can share right now about my book, because it'll continue to evolve quite a bit over the course of my artistic process. But essentially, the storyline follows a sister and brother who learn about the importance of trust over a day at the beach, which is going to offer the reader a metaphorical take on disarmament. And why I made this such a metaphorical thing is because I want to get at the core of what shapes public opinion. And I believe that's the innate value system that shapes our response to each event, each international negotiation. Instead of focusing on statistics and technical information, I want to give my readers a narrative or a visual that they'll remember every now and then. It's going to be something that becomes a part of their underlying value system. And here's also like a mini shout out to my project mentor, lovely Umayam, who's been helping me understand how I can make these artistic metaphors work. And I think metaphors are also going to help me target younger readers from childhood to adolescence. So younger readers are the biggest audience for illustrated books, and they're also at the age where they're rapidly building up their worldview, which makes them a little easier to tackle than those with established value systems. That's why I'm hoping to get this printed through an established children's book publisher in Korea. But obviously, illustrated books are also for all ages, and I would also love to see a broader audience for my book. And at this point, I'm also considering building an online companion for the book, which is going to include more technical information on what disarmament is and some existing disarmament efforts from around the world. And this I see as kind of taking education in stages. So bringing my audience from an ideological basis for disarmament through my book to how it manifests in the world in my web companion. And that sums up my project, Project Midam. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me during the breakout room discussion later. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Sengen. By looking at these pictures, I really feel the beauty of peace, and I cannot say how much
Thanks,
I love
Boy.
them. It's so beautiful. And because we have a very tight schedule, and so we have to move on to our next section. And if you have questions, of course, you're more than welcome to discuss in the breakout room. And our next section is regional disarmament priorities and proposals for youth section. And first, I will invite Mrs. Mona Lisa Hazarunka to talk about the disarmament priorities in her region, which is South Korea. Mona Lisa, floor is yours.
Yeah, perfect. Well, greetings, everyone. My name is Mona Lisa Hazarika. I'm one of the UN Youth Champions for Disarmament, and I currently work as a consultant for the Scrap Weapons Project at SOAS University, London. Today, I will be talking about my ongoing research on craft-produced weapons in South Asia and why small arms and light weapons are considered to be the weapons of widespread destruction. Now, when the rule of law is replaced by the barrel of a gun, there is little opportunity to recover and rebuild. Small arms and light weapons, SAL, are lethal, easy to use, and difficult to trace when not properly marked and without record-keeping and tracing abilities of national authorities. Given the relative ease of concealment, transport, and maintenance, they remain in circulation for a very long time and are available across gray, white, and black markets. In certain societies, small arms are a result of unique, deep-rooted identities and values grounded in local belief systems that are part and parcel of the political and social order. The former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan called them the quote-unquote real weapons of mass destruction, which is no exaggeration and holds true even today, given their perpetual use in both wartime and peacetime situations. While not capable of obliterating entire cities like WMDs, weapons of mass destruction, they are known to cause what is referred to as individual destruction, given their cross-sectional and mutually reinforcing relation with organized crime, terrorism, gender inequality, and human rights violations. This posits them as an intersectional priority of arms control and disarmament, violence prevention, human rights and humanitarian law, public health, economic development, post-conflict reintegration, SDGs, terrorism, and criminality, each perspective advancing a differing lens and solution. A symbol of masculinity and power for some, small arms proliferation and availability is only one piece of a complex and dynamic puzzle and cannot be treated as a traditional disarmament and arms control issue awaiting one solution or policy intervention. While a legitimate tool for state security, their illicit and licit production, proliferation, and misuse have presented a novel set of issues, with their widespread availability being only one part of the problem. While their indirect impacts, such as facilitating and exacerbating armed conflict, commissioning serious human rights violation, weakening governance and the rule of law, are stipulated in policy consideration, their cumulative indirect impacts are harder to measure and assess. This includes an array of opportunity costs incurring from overburdening medical systems, privatization of violence, brewing gun culture, large-scale refugee flow, and a culture of impunity. By broadening our understanding of the relationship between people and their demand for small arms, our efforts at monitoring and evaluating the efficacy of existing regulations can be realized. Now, in addition to their direct effect, in addition to their legal production via the complex manufacturing process, the demand for non-industrial manufacturing of SOL is sustained by actors who fashion them as their weapon of choice for their anonymity, cost-effectiveness, and accessibility, among other reasons. Improvised and craft-produced weapons are illicitly produced or assembled from components or parts that are illegally acquired or produced without a license from a competent government authority or outside or under limited state control. They're known by different names. I've added a few on the slide here. They are called artisanal, improvised, craft-produced, homemade, workshop-made, country-made, self-fabricated, privately made weapons, and so many more that I probably couldn't find and couldn't add here. But they're fabricated largely by hand and range from rudimentary single-shot guns to more advanced semi-professionally manufactured copies of conventional firearms. Now, they are devoid of any markings or serial numbers or other tracing mechanisms and are commonly employed by individuals and groups who do not have access to their industrial counterparts. Though economically insignificant, they are an important source of low-cost weapons in many regions across the world, especially for their geographically isolated and legally prohibited buyers. Their unusual forensic profile, given the use of innocuous material for their production, impedes methods of tracing and makes investigations a Herculean task. While there may be regional variations in product and technology use, the uniformity in its lethality and intended use is undeniable. They're typically produced in private workshops, homes, garages, or backyards in smaller quantities by recycling spare parts or remnants of more sophisticated arms or mundane items. Despite being a global phenomenon, the fragmented nature of the information on their value and volume hinders an informed assessment of their incidence and current usage in society. Now, talking about craft production in South Asia, where I'm from, illicit arms production in South Asia, notably India and Pakistan, has colonial roots, which has found its way through the post-colonial period. They have had a thriving cottage industries since the British era, which were centers of weapons production to fight the colonial rule, some even dating back to the medieval kingdoms. The most popular and often cited traditional centers of the industry are the Dara Adam Khel in Pakistan's northwest frontier province, and the production hubs across northern India, especially in the states of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. As an example, I have added a picture here of a desi katta, which is basically a single shot gun. And for those who want a clean, economical shooting job, with tools that are simply, tools which simply did the job and the traces cannot be found, a katta was the archetypal candidate. Sold for around 2,000 to 5,000 INR and made by scrap metal components like cylindrical tubes from old cycles, a nail as a firing pin, and other very easily accessible household items. It is operable for around 20 to 200 rounds, and even then, there's a high risk of misfire. My project, Out of Focus, Improvise and Craft-Produced Weapons in South Asia, is a research report taking stock of the craft production in the region. It aims to provide historical and contemporary review of the unregulated weapons manufacturing process and explore in detail examples of notable improvised and artisanal weapons and the extent of their use today. The project is centered around technical assessments of their mechanics, functionality, sophistication, and the level of technical knowledge needed for their production, with consistent data collection and categorization. The project strives to restart the discourse on the proliferation trends of privately manufactured weapons in the context of domestic and regional arms control mechanisms and sensitize the issue for policy consideration. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mona Lisa. And I think the best part is like you really combined your own project with the regional priorities. And I know you are also coming from the arm-afflicted communities in India, right? And I think your presentation is really going to technical, and I can see the deep understanding about the arms conflict issues in your presentation. And thank you so much for being here with us. And I have to move on to our next speaker, which is Dr. Noju Seth. Will talk about his in his perspective, what's the disarmament priorities in his region. Dr. Nojus, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Bui. Hi,
You can see the
everyone.
screen.
Yeah, great. So my name is Dr. Saad. I am a medical professional and a digital health researcher coming from Iraq. So for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to walk us through the regional priorities of disarmament and security in the Middle East region, while also highlighting some of the public health impacts of disarmament issues. And we're going to wrap up with some digital opportunities for youth actions in your own respective regions as well. So starting off with an overview of disarmament issues within the Middle East, we all know that the Middle East has unfortunately been a hotspot for global conflicts throughout history. Some notable examples include the Arab-Israeli conflicts, the Iran-Iraq war, the Gulf Wars, the ongoing Syrian civil war, and also the current war in Palestine. These conflicts have not only led to significant regional instability and widespread destruction, but has also contributed to the proliferation of nuclear, chemical, and conventional weapons throughout the region. Our region is also facing numerous security challenges from internal conflicts, terrorism by non-state actors, and interstate tensions, which are further complicating disarmament efforts. And there are, of course, several international treaties and United Nations agreements that aim to address these issues, but the enforcement and the compliance still remain very challenging. We know that one of the major existential threats to humanity is nuclear weapons. And its non-proliferation has definitely been a major priority for most countries in the Middle East. However, Iran's nuclear program has been a focal point of international concern so far, despite agreements within the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action in 2015. And if you aren't familiar much, the main purpose of this plan of action is to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities and to ensure that they are used only for peaceful purposes. But despite this agreement, there has been recent increases in the enrichment of uranium purity and stockpiles, which can be potentially used for new nuclear weapon developments. And this is also increasing tensions with other regional superpowers like Israel and Saudi Arabia. The concept of a nuclear weapon-free zone in the Middle East, on the other hand, it has been in discussion since the 1970s, which aims to ban nuclear weapons in the region. But political disagreements and the outgoing conflicts have truly limited its progress, and there is a great need for continued diplomatic efforts and international cooperation to prevent the nuclear proliferation and promote peace in the Middle East. Moving on to the chemical and the conventional weapons. So one of the major victims of chemical weapons are the population of Syria so far, since the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, or OPCW for short, has declared that there are more than 1,300 metric tons of chemical weapons that have been used against the Syrian population so far. And one major challenge for the international community here is how can we ensure Syria's full compliance with disarmament obligations, since there are still, reports of ongoing chemical weapon use. But when it comes to conventional arms, there are an estimated 20 million civilian-owned firearms in the Middle East, with Yemen and my country of Iraq affected the most. This is contributing to significant risk of armed conflicts, domestic terrorism, and especially the radicalization of young people, especially in economically vulnerable situations like in our countries of Iraq and Yemen. There's also a growing race among regional states for military expenditure. Some major examples are Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Iraq, who are spending billions of dollars into the military every year, while simultaneously only spending a small fraction of their annual budget into the healthcare infrastructure. Moving on to a crucial aspect of disarmament that truly lacks the much needed multidisciplinary cooperation between health and security institutions, which is the public health impacts of disarmament issues. So some of those impacts include chemical weapon exposures, the immediate and the long-term impacts. We have explosive remnants of wars, the psychological impacts of armed conflicts, displacement and refugee health, destruction of healthcare infrastructure, and of course, environmental and climate aspects of food security and famine and other aspects related to the longer-term effects of disarmament issues. So some opportunities for youth action and disarmament. As you can see, there are various opportunities to engage online. Some of them include capacity building programs, like the ones that are offered by our Youth for Disarmament initiatives and the UN Youth Office. We have online campaigns. We also, I myself, I'm a huge advocate for entrepreneurship and innovation, particularly when it comes to youth-led entrepreneurship. So with all the opportunities that we have through the internet and digital technologies, I truly encourage you to step up and innovate this technology for peace and security. In this last slide, I will leave you with two intriguing questions for you to get creative about. We can discuss them more in our breakout groups. So I really look forward to having you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nojus, for your very wonderful presentation. And I think you really combined with your own digital background as well. And I think this is a very good thing. And I mean, every participant, if you can combine with your own knowledge, with your own background, we will have our own answers for disarmament. So let's move on, and our final presentation belongs to Mr. Safaye Zamil Noshan, who will talk about how to link disarmament with other topics, or specifically in his case, with a strong human background he will try to link disarmament with human rights. Zamil, the floor is yours, and you only have 5 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you, Boris, and good evening, everyone. I am Safaye Zamil Noshan from Bangladesh. I'm a former youth advisor of UN Human Rights, and currently I am lead of Commonwealth Youth Peace Ambassadors Network. So today my presentation topic is in Korean consequences of thank you. So to start, my presentation will cover the background and context of the nuclear weapons, immediate and humanitarian impacts of a nuclear blast, and long-term health effects, and a case study of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and what international law and humanitarian efforts are available for nuclear ban, and what European initiatives are there against nuclear ban. So to start, let's briefly go back to history for some context. The development of nuclear weapons began during World War II with the Manhattan Project. This top secret initiative led to the creation of the first nuclear bombs, which were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, resulting in unprecedented destruction and loss of life. Over 200,000 people died by the end of the year due to the immediate and long-term effects. Fast forward to the Cold War era, a time marked by an intense arms race between the United States and Soviet Union. Both superpowers amassed vast arsenals of nuclear weapons, creating a constant threat of global nuclear war. Now comes the immediate humanitarian impact. What happens when a nuclear bomb is blasted? First, the blast effect. When a nuclear bomb detonates, an enormous shockwave travels at hundreds of kilometers per hour, causing severe damage to all infrastructures in its path. The force of the blast is so powerful that it kills people close to ground zero instantly. Further away, the shockwave can cause severe lung injuries, eye damage, and internal bleeding. Now, let's consider thermal radiation. The heat generated by nuclear explosion is so intense that almost everything close to ground zero is vaporized. To give you an idea, the temperature reached those found in the interior of the sun, about 100 million degrees Celsius. Even people in underground shelters are not safe, as they can face death due to a lack of oxygen and carbon monoxide poisoning caused by the blast. So the long-term health effects. In the long term, nuclear weapons produce ionizing radiation. This radiation not only kills or sequence those exposed, but also contaminates the environment, leading to prolonged health consequences. Among these, cancer, genetic damage are most significant. Physicians estimate that some 2.4 million people worldwide will eventually die from cancer due to atmospheric nuclear tests, conducted between 1945 and 1980. Survivors of nuclear explosions face elevated risk of leukemia, thyroid cancer, breast cancer, and other solid tumors. Let's consider the genetic mutations. Ionizing radiations damage DNA, leading to genetic mutations that can be passed on to future generations. Children of survivors have shown possible hereditary effects, highlighting the far-reaching consequences of nuclear exposure. These long-term health effects underscore the enduring impact of nuclear weapons on human health, affecting not just immediate victims, but also future generations. Now, let's consider about the humanitarian response challenge. First, the position of the physicians and first responders. Operating in a devastated, radioactively contaminated areas would be nearly impossible. The intense radiation poses a severe health risk to these workers, limiting their ability to reach and treat victims effectively. Second, there's the issue of resource scarcity. Hospitals and clinics may be destroyed, severely damaged by the blast, leaving few functional medical facilities. Finally, let's consider the potential refugee crisis. A nuclear war would displace vast populations, creating a refugee crisis in an unprecedented scale. I guess most of you heard about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Here are some key points. What happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki when a bomb was blasted in 1945? At the core of the blast, temperature reached several million degrees. The ground temperature soared to about 4,000 degrees Celsius, causing immense destruction. Approximately 80,000 people died instantly in each city. And by the end of 1945, the total death toll rose to around 100,000 in Hiroshima alone. These numbers are not approximate, but these are figured out by the research. The immediate impact was catastrophic. All infrastructure within 1.5 miles of the explosion was flattened, resulting in widespread damage across the entire city. The intense heat and radiation literally vaporized people. Burn injuries were rampant due to the radiation, and many bodies were incinerated by the extreme heat. So these are the situations what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So let's see what international efforts are available. There are some treaties. You can see on the screen the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, the NPT. There's a Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. There's a New START Treaty. The New START Treaty is a new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty that was signed between the United States and Russia in 2010. It aims to limit both countries' strategic nuclear arsenal. And there's some youth initiatives and humanitarian programs available. So let's shift our focus to the powerful role of young people are playing in the movement against nuclear weapons. First, we have organizations like ICANN, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons. ICANN has been instrumental in mobilizing youth around the world, providing them with platforms to advocate for nuclear disarmament and educate their communities about the dangers of nuclear weapons. Another significant initiative is the Peace Board. The NGO organizes global voyages to raise awareness about nuclear disarmament, climate change, and human rights. Social media campaigns also play a crucial role. Platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok are used to spread awareness, share impactful stories, and organize global movements. Here, I have posted some logos of some youth initiatives like Scrap Weapons, Alliance for Nuclear Accountability, Youth for TPNW, No Nukes, Belgium, 1.5 degrees of peace across the chicken neck. So you can find these initiatives in Instagram if you search. So these initiatives demonstrate the incredible potential and power of young people to drive change and create a safer nuclear-free world. So what is the human rights in nuclear weapons as a human rights defender? So working to establish rights for children and young people for a better future. When I was a member of the UN Human Rights Youth Advisory Group, I have added the importance of the safety of children and young people during conflict. So what's the future of human rights if such destructive weapons exist in our world? First and foremost, the use of nuclear weapons violates the right to life. The catastrophic humanitarian impact of nuclear explosions kills tens of thousands instantly and leaves many more suffering from long-term health effects. How can we say we are protecting human rights when we allow such destructive weapons to exist. Nuclear weapons also undermine the right to health. The radiation released by these weapons cause severe medical conditions, including cancers and genetic mutations, as I have mentioned earlier. Survivors suffer for decades, and future generations bear the burden of this health impact. Moreover, the threat of nuclear weapons violates our right to live in a safe and secure environment. As young people, we deserve to grow up in a world where we feel safe and where our future is not overshadowed by the threat of nuclear annihilation. Finally, the resources spent on maintaining developing nuclear arsenals could be better used to address global challenges like poverty, education, climate change. Investing in nuclear weapons diverts funds from critical areas that could improve our quality of life and secure a better future for all. As young activists or young persons, we must advocate for the evolution of nuclear weapons and strive for a world that respects and upholds human rights. Our future depends on it. We need to use our voices, our platforms, and our collective power to push for disarmament and ensure that the next generation can live in a world free from the threat of nuclear weapons. So that's all from me. So I'll leave you with some questions to think when you are alone or when you are at home. So you can, do you think nuclear weapons impact your daily life? Why should young people act for nuclear ban? And the last one is, do you believe young people can influence the nuclear for complete nuclear ban? So maybe we will get a chance to discuss that in our breakout room. If not, please think about this question when you are alone or when you are with them. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you so much, Zamir, for your wonderful presentation. I really like it, and I like your human rights perspective towards disarmament. And I think this is also another example for our participants here that we can do today. And before we going out to breakout room discussions, I really want to have a section about how you can involve about UNODA's upcoming opportunities. So if you are thinking about ways to get involved in our activities, we have few upcoming opportunities will taking place this summer. And from tomorrow, the Youth for Disarmament will be launching its latest initiative, the NONE NON campaign, which stands for Not One Nuclear Explosion. The campaign aims to raise the awareness of devastating consequences of use, testing, and development of nuclear weapons. To do so, a series of activities will be conducted to provide a platform for youth from affected communities to share the experience and to amplify the voice at the forefront of the nuclear disarmament efforts. One activity will be the annual Step Up for Disarmament activity, which aims to raise awareness of the International Day Against Nuclear Tests on 29 August this year. To do so, we invite you and other young people to take part in a global walk or run in your local communities to complete the distance of 8.29 kilometers or approximately 10.9 kilometer steps, thousand steps, sorry. And the symbolic number corresponding to the date of 29 August. The campaign aims to raise awareness of this legacy through an emphasis on the physical activity, recognizing that sports plays a crucial role for many young people across the world. So let's stay healthy and let's step up for disarmament. And another activity under NON is the No Hand campaign, where participants will be invited to participate in a social media campaign by writing the word NON, N-O-N-E, on your hand and posting a photo on your accounts. Participants will use the stop motion with their hands to reflect the campaign's message, not one nuclear explosion. The No Hand campaign will run from 29 August to 26 September, the International Day for Total Elimination of Nuclear Weapons. Please keep a lookout our social media websites, Youth for Disarmament website, announcement, and the instructions to participate. Also, if you would like to learn more about Disarmament over this summer, another very, very helpful resource is the Disarmament Education Dashboard. The UNODA developed this dashboard, and we have over 30 self-paced courses on Disarmament. The dashboard is UNODA's global online learning platform. It offers free courses with a wide range of topics related to disarmament, non-proliferation, and arms control, and also many cross-cutting issues in various formats, including short introductory modules and longer, more in-depth courses. More courses will be available. Most of the courses will be available in English, but some also available in other languages. New courses will be added regularly. Just last week, we launched 2 new courses that explore new and emerging technologies and nuclear weapons and use and disarmament part. And after complete those kind of courses on the platform, you will obtain a certificate that you can use on your LinkedIn. And specifically in our region, UNRCPD, United Nations Regional Center for Peace and Disarmament in Asia Pacific will soon open 3 internship positions, 2 political affairs intern and 1 public information intern. So if you want to learn more and apply, please follow our website, UNRCPD, or follow our social media accounts on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And without further delay, and now we have to move out to the breakout room discussions. And please note, we will have 20 minutes for breakout room discussion, and the facilitators will have instructions for you. So my colleague will help you to assign you to the specific breakout room.
Creating channels where there's meaningful, not just participation, but also the youth voices are being taken into account, taken seriously. Some of the participants in my group also recommended, had some recommendations for UNODA, which I'll be sharing later on, but mostly around more opportunities for youth to meaningfully engage and also having the opportunity to contribute to the ongoing work of ODA. So yeah, that's my brief summary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mona Lisa. I can see you have a very fruitful discussion at your room. And Charlotte, maybe we can move on with you.
Yeah, we also had like a really good discussion in my breakout room. In particular, we talked kind of about like how we had a really long discussion, for example, about like small arms, and in particular how like the Myanmar conflict was affecting the regions that my participants came from, for example, in Northeast India and in China. And I thought it was really eye-opening seeing how Myanmar conflict that often is not talked about in like Western media in particular is really causing like really big geopolitical shifts in like some of the biggest powers in like the Pacific region and kind of how it's affecting things. So I thought that was really valuable. I also really loved like there were some really good quotes from my room. Like somebody like Feiruz said, like if you give me an apple and I give you an apple, you will have one and I will have one. But if you give me an idea and I give you an idea, you will have 2 and I will have 2. So I am so quoting that somewhere. I don't know where, but that was so good. And yeah, I mean, I just really liked meeting all the participants and hearing about like their recommendations for like what to talk about. One of my participants is in like a buffer zone in Northeast India, so she isn't even able to really work safely outside of remote work. So she wanted me to like, for example, let like I guess the UNODA headquarters know that like some of the people here like we're really lucky to be able to kind of represent youth when there's a lot of youth out there who are not able to like even leave their like country or their region sometimes. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. I really like your quote, the quote from your group, and thank you for your passionate briefing. And let's move on. Nojus, do you want to share your breakout room insights?
Yeah, of course. We had wonderful and very insightful discussions. There were a lot of amazing young professionals that are coming from the Asia and also Africa region, which was very interesting insights coming from those different regions. So some of the recommendations that my participants gave was the countries, for example, that are with more natural resources, specifically in Africa, should be given more attention when it comes to the importation of illegal silo weapons. We also talked about the power of social media, the advocacy and campaigning for young people, engagement of youth in policy making, and having more space for political participation. There was also a very interesting point that was raised, and I completely support in favor of engaging adolescents and younger children in disarmament education. We all know that the legal barriers to participation, especially leadership, are much harder for the young people that are below the age of 18. We also talked about using digital technologies like artificial intelligence, VR stimulations to make disarmament education more interactive and more enjoyable for young people. These are some really great suggestions there, and really looking forward to what's coming next.
Thank you so much, Nojus. And I heard that someone from Africa also participate in your breakout room discussions. I really think this is a wonderful thing, because as we are Asia Pacific session, we don't want to be excluded anyone else. And also that youth from Africa and from Europe, from other regions, they can bring their own experience, which can be also used in Asia Pacific region. Maybe this can bring something new, like all the recommendations you just mentioned is also an example that people youth from other regions can also benefit the youth in Asia Pacific. And I think this is really good briefing. And thank you, Nojus. And let's move to Zamil. Do you want to share your?
Yeah, thank you, Boy. We had an amazing discussion in our room. So we had participants from China, Malawi, India, Mexico, and in the discussion we have learned that the civil war in Malawi that led to the loss of young people, the resource threat, and that young people are in favor of the positive solutions, but there's no way because of the war. So the war are the main challenge. So this is a disarmament challenge for the young people. So there's also one suggestions from one participant from Mexico that the disarmament, the youth champions for disarmament can take the lessons from the Mexico, that highlighting education, energy security. This should be highlighted in when we are in the UNGA. So young people in Mexico also faces some problems regarding the arms trafficking, security and transportation challenge. And the problem is the government is not prioritizing the education. So for the young people, participants suggested that young people should keep pushing for effective youth engagement, not just tokenistic participation, but also the effective participation in decision-making processes in governmental and intergovernmental level. So there was also some feedbacks from young people then that disarmament should be added in the curriculum for the students, because students study peace building, peace and security, but we think, with the young people think, that disarmament should also be a part of the curriculum, and it should be read in as a specific subject. So and also for the suggestions for some projects, some of our participants also suggested that the study of AI and digital reality and digital technology to our young people about the digital life. So it's also necessary if young people want to act positively. So young people have to know what's their barrier and what's their threats. So and also there was a suggestion that young people should be added to the government and integrate disarmament group or young scientific advisors in the government processes. So these were some discussions from my group, and that was excellent. Thanks to you.
Thank you so much, Samuel. This is all wonderful points you mentioned. We need to more focus on peace education, the peace awareness raising, as disarmament is actually now like low focused topic around the globe, but actually we need disarmament more than ever as every country is increasing the military expenditure, and we are getting away from multilateralism. And also you mentioned the emerging technologies, and yes, it is so crucial that the young people need to learn those AI, those emerging technology, because those kind of technologies using in military domain, for example, the use of AI in small arms, in light weapons, also the use of AI in decision making of if I should launch a nuclear bomb or not. And those kind of use is very dangerous. And if we don't know exactly what is happening, then how can we address them? And thank you, Zamil, again for your briefing. And let's move to Sangan, please, if you could also share your insights from your room.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Boy. And my group was really focused on the Asia Pacific region. And I found it really interesting that we were able to focus on challenges that really tie to the cultural roots of this region in particular. So, for example, something I found really interesting was that Jenny mentioned the importance of language in disarmament discussions, and how because the Asia Pacific region tends to have more language barriers to discussion than other regions. So like Europe and Africa and the Americas. And we also pointed out that most of the disarmament conversation tends to occur in English, which is not a common lingua franca in Asia. So we mentioned the importance of engaging youth who speak different languages and embracing linguistic diversity in the region. We also focused on really regional specific challenges. So for example, pollution of water in the Mekong River due to chemical weapons and violation of environmental agreements resulting from that, as well as child soldiers in certain conflict areas in Southeast Asia. And in responding to these challenges, we also mentioned that in the Asia Pacific region, there is a tendency for greater centralization of power compared to other regions as well, and less of a empowerment of civic organizations. So in my breakout room, we mentioned the importance of rallying civil rights organizations and really bringing grassroots organizations together to present a unified stand when the government is less willing to speak out openly about disarmament, and also the importance of having more parliaments that specifically address disarmament and youth in disarmament as a part of the YPS agenda as well. We also mentioned that it is truly important to mobilize civil society, and specifically the power of academia. We need to leverage them to understand a greater diversity of perspectives in the conversation that dominates on disarmament. And I believe something that was also interesting to me is that we also brought up the importance of rhetoric when we mentioned what the youth champion should discuss in our trip to the UNGA First Committee. And I found it interesting that we can also use the rhetoric to leverage on our age and our youth. So while youth is typically seen as a weakness, we say that by using our youth and emphasizing the fact that we will take ownership of the future, that is going to bring us power when we discuss disarmament in the UNGA First Committee as well. So overall, very great discussion. I really enjoyed hearing diverse perspectives and focusing on the region. And great to talk to all of you.
Thank you so much, Sangan, for your wonderful concluding. And from my breakout room, also we talk about the disarmament education, the bottom-up approach. We need to learn from the local community, many things. But because of our very tight schedule, we have to end our Asia Pacific session now. And thank you everyone again for attending this Regional Youth Forum. And I hope you all can have a very good takeaway from our session. And we will start the Asia Pacific, the African Europe session in 10 minutes. So if you want to stay, please feel free to stay to attend the following up session. But if you want to leave, please feel free to leave now. And I think we will, but I think they need some time to technical check. So I request all of you to leave the meeting, and you can join us after 10 minutes, only if you want. And thank you so much, everyone, again, for attending the Asia Pacific session. And thank you especially for Youth Champions for stay with us for 2 hours and also be presentation and also be facilitator. And thank you so much again. See you very soon.